Hey, welcome to another Le Mans Ultimate Lap Guide. Today we're doing GT3 at Fuji. I'm driving the Ferrari 296 GT3 car today with the TC ABS and brake bias settings shown on screen just there. Now for the first turn, we're looking for where that grandstand is on the left, that concrete wall, and just before we get to that, we start braking very hard all the way on the left side of the track. For this turn, we're aiming for a very late apex. I might have actually started turning away from the outside a bit early here. You want to have a very late apex and a straight exit. Don't go up as tight as the green area, you don't need to go that tight, but you want to aim for a straighter exit to get harder on throttle and have a faster exit. On exit here, you shouldn't have to go wider than the curb. If you do, you probably got on throttle a little bit too early or apex too early. I find if you go beyond the curb there, it's a bit bouncy and it pushes you a bit wide around that left bend we just went through, so late apex and straighter exit. Now for this turn, we're looking for where the grass changes color and the 50 board on the fence, and we're braking about halfway between those 2 points. And for this turn, we don't want to carry too much speed in because it's very easy to go wide on exit, so bring the speed down a bit, cut all the way over this inside curb, including the green bit. On exit here, use all the width of the track, running out to the exit curb, but not going as far as the red arrow, because you go that far out and it kind of pulls you out there and keeps you stuck out there, and it makes the next turn way too tight. Now here I like to slightly open up my entry line to take some more speed into this turn. Now we see that service road on the right side of the track there. We're going to be lifting off throttle a few car lengths after we get past that service road and just coasting through here, waiting for the front to grip up. And only about this point right here we can start getting back on throttle. Apexing where I have that green arrow, we can bring our right side wheels onto that concrete bit to keep our car as far right as we can, because we want to line ourselves up for the braking point on the right side of the track here, looking for that 50 board and braking a couple car lengths after that, then keeping to the outside as we start braking, and then thinking about the apex, which is going to be on the curb right here on the inside. But avoid getting onto that red bit. It kind of lifts up and it can bounce you out a bit wider than you would like. Picking up the throttle at the apex and carrying your speed all the way to the outside of the track here without getting onto that curb. I find that outside curb kind of wants to pull you out. It's going to cost you a bit of time getting onto it, I think, so avoid getting onto it. Just use all of the tarmac, then we can keep tight around here to keep our line as short as possible. And now for the next hairpin. This one's very tight. You're going to look for that Goodyear board that goes above the track there, and we're braking just after it. We're going to go under it and brake just after we go past that board. Very hard on the brakes here, all the way to the outside. We're going to tuck in very tight here. I like to take this line here where I cut my right side wheels over the red part of the curb, but you can brake a fraction later and just take the flat part of the curb and you'll be fine too. Just don't cut all four wheels over the red part or you'll hop up a bit too much. Here, as we turn in, we're going to lift off the throttle and coast over this inside curb, and after we get to the apex, then we're going to start picking up the throttle again and then cutting straight over this curb on exit. Just don't get too close to the grass because it can invalidate your lap, but cut straight over it, aiming at Mount Fuji, and then bring the car to the left side of the track where we're looking for this green area on the outside of the curb. There's that white line that I marked out as a braking reference. We're going to be braking almost alongside that on the tarmac, not the curb, carrying quite a bit of speed in here, just using a little bit of the brake to cut off some speed. Then cutting your right side wheels over the green part of the curb. You can use the flat part of the curb if you're more comfortable with that, depending on the angle of entry really. And then over that crest, you have to be very careful with your throttle and steering inputs or you might oversteer. On exit, or at this point right here, carry your left side wheels onto the green bit, then back onto the curb and onto the tarmac, aiming for our next braking point, which is at the end of this curb on the left. As that ends, we're going to get onto the brakes, but not aggressively on the brakes. We're balancing the brakes with our steering inputs to slow the car down and have a late apex on this turn. We don't want to apex too early because you'll end up wide on exit quite easily. Don't cut the green bit here because I find if you cut that, it bounces you out on exit. And just like the previous turn, we're going over another crest. You're going to have to balance your throttle and steering inputs to avoid oversteer, using all of the red and white curb here, not going any further than that, bringing the car back to the left side. The surface road on the right side of the screen there is going to be our next braking reference, and we're going to be braking maybe 3 to 4 car lengths after we go past that, then following this sort of rubbered line to make another very late apex in this turn. You want to straighten this exit as much as you can so you can get on throttle a bit harder and carry more speed out of this turn. Don't cut too tight. You don't want to go too much over the curb on the inside because it kind of unsettles the car on exit. Then over here we can carry our left side wheels onto the green bit and then come back onto the track. The more you can straighten that exit out, the less you'll need to rely on that exit curb. That time I may have apex just a little early, so when I got on throttle I had to carry all my momentum to that green part and exit. Anyway, so that's a lap of Fuji. That last section is very tricky. You have to do a lot of balancing of throttle, brake and steering inputs there, so it might take a bit of practice to get your line precise through that. I'm going to play through the whole lap again without any interruptions like I do with these guides, and then at the end of the lap I'm coming back for a pit entry guide, so stick around for that. See you soon. And now for the pit entry of Fuji. You'll find this white line that goes through the middle of the track right here. We're going to come to the right of it, but come very close to it to slightly open up our entry line for when we turn in. There's a building on the right of the fence there. We can use that as a braking reference, braking a couple car lengths before actually getting alongside that building, braking quite hard here, then coming off the brakes as we turn in here. And right here, do not touch that white line. If you touch that white line at all, you'll get a cut warning. So come around that white line if you can, and then back on throttle just a little bit. And then as we get to that white line that goes across the pit lane right there, getting hard on the brakes, bringing it down to 60 k's per hour, and then we should be fine by the line. Now that's all for my guide. I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if it's helped you out. I've been really appreciating all your support lately. Thank you all guys. See you again soon.